Okay. So here we go. Linear bird. This is like maximizing profit, minimizing cost. It's all about optimizing. Optimizing means finding your maximums and minimums. We use this in real life. People in business use it all the time to figure out how many of these items do I need to sell, and how much labor do I need to use to maximize my profit and minimize my cost. We did this last year. Several different problems, but I remember there was one about maximizing profit and minimizing waste, and it was about pecans. We had different pecan orchards and we sold pecans. And then there was one that was about the military, and they had to have a certain number of calories in their different meals, and we were trying to maximize what they could eat but minimize the cost. So they're all word problems. We're going to start with one that's not a word problem just to make sure that you understand the setup of it. Okay, so, and then as we're going through, I'll show you how to use the calculator.
What's table one?
Point slope.
Is that what we normally been doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what the heck's that?
I don't usually, people don't usually call it table form. I'm not sure.
It's on the cream paper, that's why I was worried.
I'm not sure why that page does. Okay, so that first equation at the top, they often use the letter P because a lot of times it's profit. We don't need it yet. This is the point. These are the equations we're going to put into our calculator. These bottom two equations, if you look at them, x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0. What that is actually doing, those particular equations, are limiting us to quadrant 1. Because that is the only place where x is greater than 0 and so is y, is quadrant 1. So that's what these two are doing. You won't always have those two, but in this particular problem we do. The reason I'm telling you that is because you don't necessarily have to graph and shade these two if you'll just keep in mind, oh, everything has to be quadrant 1. And actually, we'll just zoom our window that way so we don't need to shade them. Or you can shade them if you want, it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's how you work this calculator. So, when you first turn it on, it's on the home screen. You have all these choices down here of things that you can do. And these are the two primary choices. A would just be a regular calculator screen, and B is going to be a graph. So hit B, because we're going to graph these. If there's something already in your graph, hit delete, which is over here on the right-hand side, 3 times. Delete, delete, delete. It'll pull up that statement. Are you sure you want to delete everything? You hit enter for yes. Okay, so now hit tab. It's over on the left-hand side, 3rd button down. And it pulls up, oh, hold on, I'm into the, I don't want to be here. Okay, it should pull up F1, which you got F1 of X, which you guys all know is Y, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, if you'll hit delete and back up, it pulls up your inequalities. And when you hit, let's just say it's going to be less than or equal to, it'll automatically change. Oh, I just backed out. Hit delete. Okay, escape. Okay, hit tab. It pulls up F1 of X. Okay, you just have grid line. Hit delete.
Or 2A.
Okay, so don't type anything, because this is going to be a y equals form now. I did just find out that you can graph things in standard form, but not anymore. So we're going to have to put these in y equals form. Easy enough. That would be moving this one. So it's going to be y is less than or equal to 4 minus x. This y is less than or equal to 6 minus 2x.
What'd you get for the derivative?
Okay, so I'm going to type those in. Everybody understand what I just did? So I just rearranged them so they're in y equals form, so I can put them in my calculator. So I got y is less than or equal to
Then
4, notice it changed it to a y,
okay.
minus x. And when you put that in, it automatically shades for you.
Where's the X? Oh, it's
Down at the bottom there, white.
Nice.
Hit tab and we'll put the second one in. What? Hit enter. No, you're fine. Hit Control T. Control T. Let it. It'll take the table off.
Oh.
Okay, so now hit tab again. And notice it pulls up F1 of X. That's because the other one had been changed to Y, so it starts all over again. Hit delete again. We still need a less than or equal to sign. 6 minus 2x.
Mine is not.
And hit enter. And it shades. Now, I'm going to change the color because they're both shaded in blue. Oh, you didn't do anything. It's just whoever's this is, they have it zoomed in here. Okay. Control T.
Yeah, you can use
Okay. So now I want to change the color because they're both shaded blue, and it would actually be easier for me to see if one of them is shaded a different color. So I am going to go until. So you get a little finger whenever you hover on a graph, and it bolds the graph. It doesn't matter which one it is. And hit Control Menu. And see down at the bottom it says color. You can't see it on here, but the number 9 is color. And I'm going to change the fill color. That's going to change the shading. I'm just going to change something that's not blue, so it's easier to see.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Okay, so you hover on the graph until the finger comes up until it says the word graph, whichever one you want. And then you hit Control Menu.
Mom won't let me go down until
Sometimes the pointer gets a little behind, especially if the battery's low.
Mine's like purple.
Yeah, and then that way I can kind of see my purple area is where it's completely shaded. Now remember what our constraints said. Quadrant 1, this is all limited to quadrant 1. So in order to maximize and minimize profits, the only things that will work are the things that are in the completely shaded region. And in this case, it's kind of hard to see because of the glare. But in this case, it's this region right here. Because remember, I was limited by the x and the y axis. So there's this shape right here. That area is called your feasible region.
How do you change the window on here?
Menu. Window. And then you can change however you want. You can put zoom window, you can do window settings. Most of the stuff is just like the TI-84, which is
Just different buttons.
Yeah, it just is a whole lot more.
Okay, I still can do that.
What are you trying to do? So somehow you're just on this. Anytime you get on something you don't want, you just
It's just fine.
why you just oh, because it's in every there. What? I hear you. What do you So now just
She asked what you needed.
I just need some interval.
Wait till she gets done.
yes.
So whenever it says it's interval, do they include or no?
Oh, that's a good question. No, because it's parentheses. If it was included, it would be brackets. Okay. So in the feasible region, any number inside of this feasible region all of those constraints apply. So they would all work. All those numbers, you can plug them into all 4 of those equations and they would all work. But we don't want all 4. We want the maximum. So the place that you get those are from the vertices. So I need to know these 4 points. Well, obviously this one is the origin. That's easy. This one, if you've got your grid lines on, you can actually see it now. If your calculator is these calculators auto scale. And if it's auto scaling, you don't really know what it's counting by. I set mine earlier, but real quick, if you'll hit menu and 4, don't worry y'all, we're going to do this a billion times so you'll get used to it. You're going to do window 4 and 1 for window settings. Here's where you change your window settings, just like on the Ti-84. But see where it says X scale? Right now mine is auto scaling. If you'll tab, you can hit tab and it'll jump to each thing. Tab down to it and change it to 1. That means the hash marks will actually come on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that way you can just count them and do the same thing for the Y scale.
How did you get that?
Menu, window
Yes.
window settings. 1. And when you do that, you can easily see what this vertex is, because you can just count. It's 3, 0. And you can actually see the other one too. You can see this one. It's 0, 4 actually.
Which doubling did you make it?
Yeah.
So what did we make
Which
the
doubling
next go?
did you make it into?
1. Just counting by 1.
And then-
Same thing for Y. And the only reason I did that is so that I could just count them and know where I was. Now, if it didn't cross on an even place, I'm going to have to go find a 0. But it did, so I can just count it and see. Now, the only one we don't know, so we know this is 0, 0. This is 3, 0. This is 0, 4. I need this one, so we got to do an intersect.
Isn't that one just 2, 2?
I don't know. I'm not sure, so I'm going to do menu, just like the Ti-84, but 6 to analyze this graph,
This is what I end up with. Which one is
4 for intersect. And then
So this is what- is this
it gives you this
what-
dotted line. It says lower bound. You just have to go to the left of the intersection and drag across, and there it is.
Because you have to
Okay, I like this one.
Okay, so if you missed that, real quick, let me do it
Because
again.
I distributed the 2.
No, you don't have to.
6
Why
for
wouldn't you? Because that just makes it simple.
and then 4.
I mean, if you're just gonna have it
And then
in
you
there.
drag it to the left round.
Okay, so
Oh, you didn't put it in terms. Did you get?
Hit
To me, it
menu.
just simplifies it more. So I just do that.
6 for analyze graph, 4 for
This
intersect.
is just window. Settings. Oh, you did. Okay.
And so now I know that that
Oh,
order
no, I
period
got
is 2, 2.
2.0. But okay, how did you find? Did you just like look?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I changed my scale to count, to see if I could just see them. If you can't, then you'll have to find the zeros. But I could. Okay, so now I have all of my ordered pairs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually maximize, find out which one of those 4 ordered pairs is going to give me the highest number. So you take the 4 ordered pairs.
Well, let me take a picture for on the green thing.
Which were 0, 0,
Not anymore now.
3, 0, 0, 4, and 2, 2. And you were going to plug them into the profit equation, or the P equation that they gave you earlier. So they gave me P equals 2x plus 3y. You just plug each one in, and you're just looking for the one that gives you the biggest number. So it's not 0, 0.
Well, because of that. But what do
So
you mean
it's-
behind the high point?
So it's 0, 4.
Oh, I'm on the one three still.
Because that gives me 12. So
That's not hot.
the max P is 12.
I figured it was
Occurs
that.
at
Yeah, like you said, 0. lines.
So the easiest thing to do is just make sure that you have like a pointer and then hit delete, 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 and hit enter. If you don't have a pointer for some reason, hit escape and it should get you.
Zero.
Okay, let me give you another one.
My God.
Distribute to two of us. Distribute to two. Yep. Distribute. Two marks inside. That's a good pass. Speed it up, make sure you turn it on, right? Zero there. I know what to do. On this, I just need to stop looking at it for the flip. Set it all equal to 0. And then solve.
No, because your tangent is 0. I started doing that and I'm like, I lost it.
Okay,
Because then I started looking at
so
it.
we need to plug these in order to plug them in, we need them in white equals form.
I'm 5.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so
What color?
that was just my
Right.
process to get there.
Margarina. Margarina.
Now this time, I don't have those two that limit me to quadrant 1. I instead have an X. What kind of line is this? Or vertical line. Can't graph
You have to
on
find a
J.
convex and then find where.
You can find out.
Now, it won't shade for us, but it will at least graph the line. And we can at least see where it intersects, which is the important thing, we need to know the intersection points. Okay, so, taking you through it again. Graph should be empty because we delete, delete, deleted. Hit tab,
Why did mine say F2 though?
because you have something in F1. Arrow up.
Y'all did all of 6.
I'm not doing it, so it's okay.
So,
It's the first,
alright.
feature tree paper we had.
I think this one. Did you get 5 yet?
Okay.
I'm still on.
Okay, so now delete and back up.
Zero.
I need,
Oh wait, how do you get the little thing?
What did you do? I did the regular.
I just
Have
deleted.
you figured it out?
I did the 2
I'm trying to figure it out too. And I'm getting so close. Look how close I am.
So hit tab again,
How
after you
close
get
am
the first
I?
line in.
Look how close I've gotten. All I have to do is get rid of these signs.
The graph, you just.
To my
You just hit enter, and
coefficients.
it automatically graphs it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead before I even put another line in and change the color on one of these two of these, it doesn't matter which one, because it's gonna be easier to see if it's not all blue. Okay, so all you have to do is hover until you get a pointer finger that says graph, it doesn't matter which one it's on, hit control menu, and 9 is
And that
color.
leaves you with another two that you need to find out, but it also.
And I'm gonna change the fill color.
Exactly.
Oh, that's true.
I'm gonna change it
And that's
to
where I'm at right now. I just gotta get rid of the signs.
Okay, so right now I can easily see the double shaded because it's kind of greenish because I did yellow and blue. Now I'm gonna go put my third line in.
Okay, sorry, how do you do the one and you again?
Okay, you hover over a line until it says graph, has a pointer finger that says graph. Control menu.
Got that.
I'll take a picture of that too.
I lost my English.
Okay, so I'm gonna go put my next line in, so I have to hit tab again. Delete.
So,
Okay, so if I did it and it's not showing up, what is it? Why is it, why are the lines blinking? Like I changed the colors, and now it's
That's the grammar.
There you go.
Okay, so put my next line in.
Yes, you got two derivatives.
Okay, so right now, oh, I just changed the wrong one.
Whoa, no. Okay, Derek, no. Dividing up the two is wrong.
So I got the free part right here.
I don't.
The second part
I
is
think it's
it says that's
I know,
where
but
it's
which line do you put the little arrow on?
Any line you want, it doesn't matter. I just don't want them all to be blue. So you can shade anything, any color you want. So right now I have one shaded blue, one shaded gray, and one shaded yellow. It's kind of hard to tell up here, but on my screen I can tell real easily which one, what area I'm in, what area I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay, so now I have one more line, and this is the X line.
I got two sound squared.
You have to add it.
So everybody needs to be with me on this one, because this one's going to be a little bit weird.
Okay, one second. Because sometimes I do it a lot. You didn't see.
So right now, I am shaded, the only place that's shaded all three colors is this right there.
I can't finish that one.
You would just do.
Slow it down. I bet you if I was doing this
Okay,
one,
y'all ready?
I would figure it out in like 30
The
seconds.
block and then you
What's number 3, like if we do this one, I would figure it out in like 30 seconds. Okay, so when I'm trying to do like, oh, I got it right here.
Okay, so now I'm gonna hit
Or if you don't divide by
menu,
2, you subtract it and get.
and 3 for graph entry. See, always when I'm entering everything in the graph right now, it's always y equals, and I need an x equals, so I need to change my entry method. So hit 3. 1, those are functions, y equals, that's functions. I don't want that, I want number 2, I want an equation. And when you hit that, it gives you all these options for different things you can graph. I need number 1, I need a line, I just happen to need a vertical line. And when you hit 1, see, number 2, vertical line.
Something with tile.
Now I cannot, notice you cannot change it to an inequality, it is x equals, but I can put the 2 in and see where it's gonna
What's 1 over
cross.
sin x?
How do you delete a line on this one?
Okay.
You can hover on it until and click it and then hit delete. You have to click it until it's blinking. When it's blinking, you hit delete. Okay, so now, the area in question, because it says x is less than 2, that would be from this line shaded left. So the area in question is this little box right here.
Okay, how did you, I'm sorry, I was behind. How did you get the X thing in there? You did,
I did,
menu and then graph entry.
and then 2 for equation, because it's not a function. It fails for
That
that.
is mine.
And then it's checked.
We're doing number 6.
Okay, so now, I can see one of them by looking at the graph. This little corner is the ordered pair 1, 0. But the others, I'm probably gonna have to do intersection. So remember to do an intersection, do menu, 5 for, 6 for analyze graph, 4 for intersection. Now, because, notice it asks you in the corner graph. We have multiple lines in here, so it's asking you, which graph do you want me to look at? And it's gonna ask you graph twice, and you're gonna tell it which intersection. So it doesn't matter which one you want to start with. I'm gonna start with this one right here, because it appears to be like probably a decimal or something. So I'm gonna click on one of those two lines, either this line or this line, doesn't matter. Because as soon as you click it, it's gonna tell you
She hasn't got the.
to find the other line. So I'm hovering over that one, it says graph. You can either use your touchpad and click in the center, or you can use enter and click it. Notice it changes to say second graph. So it's saying what other line am I intersecting with?
I'm on number 4, I'm not even on
And that
number
would be
5.
this one.
No, she hasn't even finished doing second derivative.
No, I haven't finished it.
And then it asks me the lower bound and upper bound question just like before.
Hey, I'm just
So
kidding.
you go to the left of the intersection and drag across. As soon as you've got it in there, it shows up. So that corner is 0.5, 0.5, or 1/2. Now, if this stuff is in your way, the label, once you get it, you can delete it, or you can just move it. If you want to move it, if you'll hover over it, a little hand comes up, click down on the center, and the little hand will close and grab it, and then you can just move it wherever you want,
Well, it says if it's not possible.
just to get it out of the way. If you would rather, delete it, you can highlight it, hit enter, and hit delete, and it puts it off.
Because right here.
Okay, so I know this one already. I have this one, so now I need
And
these
that's
two.
plugged in.
You're gonna go through the steps of an intersect again. So menu, 6 to analyze graph, 4 for an intersection. It asks you which graphs.
But don't you have to do each one?
Yeah, that's negative 2.
So
Right.
do you find the page for X?
No. No. Okay, think about the chain lines. Well, what do you do on chain lines? Get the derivative of the outside piece times derivative of the inside piece. So whenever you're doing derivative of the outside piece.
This one's a little different because of the vertical line.
Of h of x times h prime of x.
Hey, you did number 4. 4A.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how it
So
works.
how you figure that?
It's like a box.
Do the second derivative.
So it's 3 2
Makes like a dragon.
Yeah. You just have to click to the left of it, to the right of it, or above it and below it, it doesn't matter. It just makes like a little box around it. And that's the 0.22. And I'm gonna grab that label and, actually, I'm just gonna delete it. Because I know what it is. So far I have a half, I have 1 0, now I have 2 2s. Got one more I need to find. Menu, 6 for analyze graph, 4 for intersection.
Yeah, that's what we got.
This one.
What'd you get for the double?
And it's the order pair 2 1.
Yeah, that's what we got.
I have a plugin. My final answer.
The thing is, I don't know how to plug it.
Okay, so now I have all of my ordered pairs, and this time I am minimizing. So I'm going to take my function they gave me at the top of the page,
Right.
p equals 3x plus 2y, and plug each of these points in. I'm looking for the lowest value this time.
Where you used to have to find it,
Because you're the negative on top, and this one is.
that gives
This
it.
is giving you.
It gives you the point. So I just.
That's
Hey,
6.
Kevin,
And then 3
Kevin,
times
the
6.
five, they give you the point changes.
You just have to plug past 6 in for X.
Because where you used to have to find point changes, they gave you. Right there. That, there, that's point changes. Yeah, they gave us point changes. So you guys just plug it in.
So this time p has a minimum value of 2.5 or 5
That
halves
tanker.
at the order pair 1 half.
Just for the next.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, so now, something we have to do, especially because this isn't calculated. So now I have all this stuff on here. I'm going to get rid of it. Delete, delete, delete. And hit enter. Now the last thing we actually plugged in was that the x equals. So if you hit tab right now, it's going to come up in that form. And they're only going to be able to put in vertical lines. So we want to get rid of that. So hit escape. That always takes escape. is just like the undo button.
On part-
You can
on
escape,
4B.
and you just can keep escaping back until it takes you all the way back to the home screen, if you wanted to. Anyway, once you escape, if you'll hit menu 3 for graph entry edit, and put it back on 1 for functions,
Do you not
it'll
do
go
the-
back to
the
F
two-
of X.
Do you not take the
Wait,
derivative
on
of
three,
the
yeah.
little?
Graph entry, and then that way you can
On
go
the
back to
side
putting in
there?
regular old
You do it on both.
functions.
What'd you do on that side?
Like,
Because you
Okay.
always take the derivative of-
So, before we go
Yes, I
on
did.
to
I did it on the.
the
front
whole
page,
point in all of this, does anybody have any questions so far? It really is just about using it, and I promise you, if you'll use it for 2 weeks, you'll like it better than 84. Just gotta use it.
oh wait, are we gonna
I'm
do
just
these
saying, I thought
like
you
on
always
the
have to-
test?
You
Well,
always
this
take
is a
the
section.
derivative, you always have
The
to
test is
change
2
all
sections, the one we did, and this one. So,
Could you like break it up, maybe just into like half the section, like one day?
yeah, just like we did last time.
I'm just that.
Yeah, we like the first is.
No, I'm gonna take that. Why? Would you say, I'm gonna use my iPhone 4 to call people, and I'll use my iPhone 8 to text? Would you do that?
If I was more comfortable with the 4.
You would not. You would not hold an iPhone 4 in your pocket and an iPhone 8 in your purse. You would not. You would move on. You would. Be honest. But be honest. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
When you first get your phone, do you know how to do everything on it? No. And does it frustrate you at first? And then a month into it, are you like, okay, this is all good, I get it now? Yes.
Do I
So,
have to write it in the exact form?
let it go. Let it go.
Wait, like we're not using them anymore every day?
No,
Do I have to send
but
the exact form?
I'm telling you, if you will let it go and use this one for everything, then you'll like it better. Because add, subtract, multiply, divide, use it for everything. I promise you. But if you just keep holding on to the 84, you'll keep going back to the 84. Which is silly, when this does much, much more. It's much more.
This is like a true testament of if you can get out of a relationship too much. You keep going back to the same person. You
Okay,
gotta check yourself.
so really, so that was just to practice the whole idea with constraints, and the region is called the feasible region. So the truth is, linear programming problems are word problems.
I don't know.
So I'm going to put the word problem up and let y'all copy it. I'm not gonna stand here and write it.
What do we have to do?
Big enough for y'all to see it. I'll blow it up big.
Okay, ready?
I was just asking a question. What do we do?
This one.
I'm not sure you.
Okay.
No, I was right.
I don't even think I'm on the question yet. I'm not even on the
Like which
question.
one?
24.
Yeah, isn't it? Wait, you don't have to product order, you just chain roll.
No, but you have to do it the second time.
Oh, we're taking the second derivative, I got you, yes.
On this one, you have to do your.
Mhm.
On this part, how does this use minus rows? And then the first one is
Yeah.
rows.
Four more.
No, because you take the function just like it is.
You're right.
Friday.
So that means I can take
I'm gonna
this
call
off.
Mary Sue.
Who's going?
I think I was there.
On what number? Yeah, I'm on that now. What is it though?
Yes,
Do we leave it in an exact form or?
yes,
Yes.
and unless it says
What
decimal
does that
form, but, or approximate.
What exactly does that question?
I number 5.
Yeah,
So you mean like with radicals or with E in it or with pi in it or whatever?
It is having the second derivative.
Yeah.
Yes, two primes in the second derivative.
Murdering
Is there
that.
we have the second derivative, what are we talking about?
Oh, plug it in.
You just plug it in?
Uh-huh.
So you
Yeah,
just
plug
plug
it
in
in.
5 or 6 or?
Yeah, yes, plug in pi over 6.
Okay, what do you do
As-
with 3?
Because, well, that's the one tangency.
Does it matter?
Has anyone got?
Yeah, that's the, no.
The second derivative on
No.
this one? Or the derivatives in general?
what did you say?
Has anyone gotten them on
Wait,
their
what?
side?
Yeah.
Pass it real quick.
That's what happened.
I don't
Thing
know.
is, we got secant and tangent.
Yeah, but secant is pi over 6, you should be able to find. Pi over 6. Pi over 6, right? What is secant?
Secant is 1 over.
Sine, right? Or secant is 1 over cosine. Okay, cosine is square root of 3 over 2. So secant is 2 over square root of
Oh, yeah.
Just flip it over.
Yeah.
So that should be easy enough. Yes. I think he was ahead of last time I saw. I can look at it real quick.
Oh, you just put that? What's up, 5?
He did.
Okay. So,
Oh.
then, what do you do if it's secant squared times 2 theta?
Okay, so once you get secant, which what we said was 2 over square root of 3, you square it. So it's 4 over 3.
Yeah, but it's 2 times theta.
Yeah, but then you find theta. Wait, okay, wait. It's, what is it?
Secant squared, 2 theta.
Okay, so then you're plugging in, what is your
Pi
variable?
over 6.
Okay, so then you take care of that first. So the
So
2
2
cancels the
times
6, so it ends up pi over 3.
Okay.
So then you take secant, then you square.
Okay. Pi over 3, which is 2
You're good?
2. 2 squared is 4. Times yes, I know. So tangent of pi over 2. That is y over x. So 3 over 2 what? So it's just square root of 3. Well, tangent is y over x.
Okay, we'll start there tomorrow.
Am I done writing?
See, I got different words. Don't make it just, so,
Jerry,
okay, so I'm
There's
gonna
this
just,
white guy,
I know it's gonna be
this white guy in the United States riding around on a bike
So
around
there's the
campus.
three.
I like it, but I
They're like
can't
a train one
minus the 6
and staring at black people.
And then I
There are 2. Hey, there,
All of that. But I do like it.
you guys.
It's less than a minus.
Morning, Brady High School. One thing,